What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Detective Comics number 1032. Sorry I didn't get this out yesterday. I was a little bit busy, but I am here right now. I'm going to record this thing, and we're going to go through it. So this issue is titled Hush, Little Robin. It's written by Peter J. Tomasi. You have Walker, Hennessy McCaig, all these other wonderful people who've worked on this book. And this is the issue I've been anticipating kind of most of all because it is the reunion of Bruce and Damian, because Damian and Bruce have not really had a face-to-face interaction in the main line of continuity since the unfortunate Teen Titans Annual #2, which I have talked about, and you can go ahead and go through my older videos and check that out on the channel. And obviously, I was not a fan of that, and neither were like pretty much the majority of Damian fans, because that Teen Titans run was garbage. But now that Tomasi's back writing them, the last issue with Damian was kind of fun. Just the way he's kind of been written is so much better than he has been in anything else. Well, Deceased, I liked quite a bit, but then anything else in the main universe for so long, it's kind of crazy. But anyways, so as we see the issue kind of opens up, we see Hush is busy. He's got the whole Bat family trapped. He's got them on some sort of drugs to kind of keep them paralyzed, and they can hear him, but they can't really move or say anything. So he's basically going to go ahead and dismantle the Bat family, like piece by piece, and like cut out their organs and donate them to other people and make a bunch of money off it, because obviously he hates Bruce Wayne and he's a fucking psychopath. So yeah, he's got a really fucked up way of getting back to the Bat family. But then in the most important stuff in the issue, what I'm most interested in, the Hush stuff is kind of a B thing. Not sure what happened with the Mirror character. I hope he shows up in the next issue, because they set him up like he was going to be a big deal or something, and there's been no payoff. And I also should mention that this issue is we have one issue left in Tomasi's Detective Comics run, because come March, it's going to be taken over by a new creative team. Some of the people working on Dark Detective Future State, and also that really awful looking Starfire book. But that's a conversation for another day. Come to find out that that writer blocked me on Twitter, and I've never interacted with them before. So not sure what the deal with that is, but oh well. So anyways, so we see here Bruce. He's finally found Damian's location. He said it was pretty difficult to track. He also mentions Damian took the high ground. He finds him at some sort of Gotham's World Fair. That's always the hideout place for a lot of these things. Go to the Gotham World Fair. I mean, like the Joker's hideout place in like Mask of the Phantasms, Gotham's Fair. I mean, it's a pretty good location. But Damian is a pretty smart person. He's got everything kind of laid out, and he's got all these different security measures and so on and so forth to keep himself in place here. Bruce is trying to find things like, okay, so he's got thermal windows. He's everything pretty much that he needs to. So he finds his casebook, and as he opens it up, he sees pictures of Alfred like scattered throughout the whole entire thing, because he was looking for the casebook, he was looking for Damian, finally like showing attention, and probably like a no shit moment, pictures all of Alfred. I've been blind to how much Damian's suffering after his murder. There you go, Bruce, you fucking dumbass. I mean, Batman's been made to be kind of an idiot. Like he's got some intelligence, but like common sense, like things like just being a simple parent or looking out for your kid, and maybe being there to comfort your son when he was traumatized, instead of just kind of pushing him away and not really doing a damn thing about it. Yeah, I mean, finally Bruce is starting to realize, maybe I've kind of really sucked at this whole dad thing. Like again, no fucking shit, Father of the Year right here. But yeah, so also Alfred was just as much a father as I was to him, possibly even more. Yes, because Alfred's been raising your kid more than you have as of lately. You don't really take responsibility. Again, Batman is like the most prominent character at DC Comics, him and Superman. Yet, they try and make him out to be really shitty parents. So, and here's the thing that probably shouldn't be in the top of his list right now. Maybe there's a chance for Damian to put the R in again, get my son back. Okay, so again, Damian comes in to fight him, but like probably the one thing you shouldn't be thinking about right now, Bruce, is putting the R back on. I mean, he, you probably focused about getting your son better, getting him some therapy and some help for the obvious amount of trauma and distress he's going through. But no, let's get the R thing back on. So him and Damian have a little bit of a fight scene. The artwork is quite good, because again, this is some conflict here. So Damian's kind of like has some sass in there. So Bruce is just kind of realizing, look, so you don't want me anywhere near you, but you're also trying. Then why are you looking for this? What are you trying to prove to me? He's like, you're my son, I love you, but sometimes I truly don't like you. Now this issue, like some of these bits may set some people off, because I mean, if your son's been going through these things, you probably shouldn't want to say this, but again, it's kind of relatable to how a lot of parents act under duress, like they say things they don't really mean. And, he still says he loves his son, but sometimes I truly don't like you based on some of his decisions. Again, this is some much needed, like, getting out some of the venting things. But again, a lot of this is your fault, Bruce, because you refuse to just be a parent, because you're the one who sent him in and you weren't there to comfort him when he was traumatized, which you should have been. A lot of this whole thing could have been avoided. Again, Damien has problems too. Like, I'm not saying he's not at fault for anything, because his character is mostly due to crappy writing. And the same thing with Bruce, crappy writing with about being a parent. So, anyways, they have their little fight scene. They kind of have some fun banter, just some kind of funny moments. Are you done taking swings at me? Probably not. So again, they have their little scuffle. They're both kind of laying down, like kind of a bit unconscious, or just like kind of taking a moment to breathe after like you know the fight that they just underwent. And yeah, so that's kind of the stuff with Bruce and Damian. And unfortunately, they don't really dive into like one of the things that, but we'll kind of skim through that. So, anyways, we also have Nakano. He's doing his thing, and he's about to get new like prosthetic eye replacements. And as soon as he finds out Bruce Wayne was possibly funding it, was funding this thing, he's like, "Get out! I'm not going to take a cent from anybody." And then he kind of walks away. Not sure why the doctor was telling him this like mid thing. Like you'd think he would have realized beforehand, "Hey, Bruce Wayne's going to do this," but he rips the prosthetic eye out. And then so also then we come to Bruce and Damien, who are already kind of working together. Now, this is a really big kind of disappointing thing for me is that we didn't really get to see them kind of talk things over a bit. We kind of just cut to this. But again, I'm going to wait to see the next issue and hopefully like they actually have a dialogue, actually listen to one another, vent out their frustrations. But again, they're kind of going against the clock and they got to go and find Hush. So Damien and Bruce are working together once again because the family is at risk. So they got to work together to save them. And this is kind of the first time they've worked together. I feel like since the last time he was in Detective Comics, maybe at the beginning of this year or last year. I can't remember anymore. There's been so much that's happened in Detective Comics and DC Comics as a whole, but it is nice to see them working together. So yeah, that's the issue right there. And some of my problems with it, like I mean, it's a decent issue. I think it could have been better. I think the main issue I have with it is we didn't really get to dive into like the reasons for his son's frustration, and we didn't really get a good like confrontation in the sense where they actually talked with one another. See, it's just been violence. Like there's been no like actually communicating with one another. There's no real sense of growth. I mean, obviously like they're reluctantly kind of working together in a sense because people that they care about are at risk. So it feels like kind of an easy way to get them working together once again. But and it's something that you do want to see. You want to see them reconcile and like actually like learn something from this, like the both of them. But it feels like we're kind of rushed. And the stuff with Hush, um, again, Hush is just kind of like he feels kind of like fodder. Like he doesn't really feel. I mean, he's just kind of there just as a means for Bruce and Damien. It feels like he's kind of just there as a means for Bruce and Damien to kind of come together to save everybody. Like I don't know where Tim and Stephanie are. They're probably off doing Young Justice stuff. I don't know how continuity works at DC anymore because nothing's so clear and concise. They got this, they got Future State, and they got all that. So I don't know what's going to happen with Damien after the next issue. I know Tomasi is going to be writing him in the Challenge of the Super Sons book, which starts coming out next week, which I will be talking about because I absolutely love Super Sons. I think it's the best book DC had, and it was a really, stupid decision to get rid of it. So I am looking forward to that. And then Deceased is ending next month. So I don't know what they're going to do with his character. He's been mysteriously absent from everything in Future State. So for all we know, something really big could happen in the next Detective Comics issue. Perhaps they even would shockingly kill off the character, or he'll go off on a really dumb, darker path. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if Tomasi's writing it, I know he cares about the character a lot. So with Damien's in good hands with him, but I don't have confidence in really any other writer at DC at the moment because I just, feel like something bad will happen. But then again, I feel like Tinian did set things up in some of his Joker War tie-ins about the trauma that he was going to go through. So maybe they explore that in the Batman run, which I would actually be interested in seeing because I feel like that's something that really should be addressed. Like him dealing with the loss of Alfred and actually having a conversation with his father about it, and Bruce, learning to become a better parent in the process. I feel like Bruce really needs to step up. That is your kid. He is hurt. He's in pain. he's lashing out, but he's also trying to reach out. So again, I like those elements, but I feel like we're kind of missing something with this issue. I really wanted to have the conversation, but it feels like we brushed over that. But again, we could get that in the next issue, which is something that we really need to see. So I really hope we get that. So for the time being, I'm just gonna like wait to judge things. In terms of the Nakano thing, I'm not sure where it's gonna lead to. I think in future state he is elected the mayor, and then he enacts like a no mask policy, and they have stuff, the things called the magistrate. Again, that's stuff that they're setting up for future state, which isn't set in stone continuity wise, but again, it gets kind of confusing with everything. And in terms of the mirror, I don't know what the point of that character was if you're not going to really have a big payoff with them. So I'm hoping that they play a factor into the next issue, or they're at least addressed, because they just felt kind of thrown in there just to kind of move the plot along, but there was no real payoff to them whatsoever. So I feel like the mirror has to play a factor in at some point in the next issue. And again, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Again, it's nice to see, Bruce and Damian starting to work together again. Bruce still needs to acknowledge his faults. Damian obviously has his problems too, and that's what I'm kind of hoping we get to see in the next issue. Because again, Bruce has been a really, really shitty dad. I don't understand why you'd want Batman to look bad as a father if he's your flagship character. But again, like the way like they kind of write things, it's like Batman can never be at fault for anything, but he clearly is. But like DC Comics kind of refuses to acknowledge it at times. So I don't know. That's just me. I thought the artwork was pretty good in this thing. There's some slight gripes, like I said. We don't really get the conversation with, Bruce and Damian. The rest of the Bat family doesn't really play much of a role except her, like just simple like grunts. And I'm kind of surprised that none of them are able to kind of wiggle their way out of it, and it kind of makes them all look a little bit dumb how they all kind of got apprehended like this. But again, I'm gonna wait and see what happens in the next issue. Hopefully some good things. Not sure where Tim and Stephanie are, because I don't know if Bruce even contacted them, but maybe they're off doing Young Justice things. I don't know. DC Comics is confusing sometimes. But anyways, there is my brief summary. I still did enjoy this issue more upon a second read through, and I hope things are really good with the conclusion to the story arc. I wonder, I don't know what's going to happen with Damian's character, because I know come March, because we're going to take a 2 month hiatus with DC stuff coming in January and February for all that future state stuff, which I'm not really like excited about. I think a lot of the ideas, there's some interesting ideas. I really like the idea of Teen Titans Academy, which is going to be a new ongoing Titans book, which I think is a smart idea. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's all a big mystery. Will Damian be Robin again? I feel like nobody knows what's going on with that for sure. It just kind of feels like nobody really knows. So he could be Robin again. He could become something else, perhaps even Red X. I don't know. Or would be the worst case scenario, a villain. So yeah, that's it. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Thank you also for so much for watching this video. Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, hit that share button, all that other stuff. And as always, take care now. Bye bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.